Thanks for joining us today on Envision. Dr. Brian Maher, one of the top things people are asking about now that we know we're going to have a new middle school, new high school in our future, and eventually a new elementary, although several years down the road. They want to know what's going on with the boundaries, and they're set up in a way that is logical currently, and we'll continue to use that logic moving forward, but it doesn't mean everybody will continue to go to the same school.
Right. Boundaries,
has to be the second worst conversation after snow days. Yeah.
It ranks right up there. Well, here's the thing. Number one, it's natural that folks would wonder,
sure,
when is that going to happen? What is that going to look like? We had to wait till we had land, till we could figure out the boundaries, but we have the land. Mm-hmm. And now it's a matter of, so when on that continuum of all these things that have to happen, when should you have the boundaries set? I have artificially set a date of the summer of 2020. And the reason the summer of 2020 has been that date is that's 1 year before we'll hopefully open up the new high school and the new middle school. Mm-hmm. So that'll give people a year to get comfortable with what their new reality will be. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to figure all that out. So when from the summer of 2020 do you back it up to say, well, now you better get started? Mm-hmm. Sometime in the 1920 school year, I believe we'll start that process. I don't know what that process will look like yet, but I suspect it will look somewhat similar to the way we handled our strategic plan several years ago. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean good community involvement, where we started out with a pretty big funnel and narrowed it down to a final strategic plan. Similar to the way we handled our bond issue, in terms of starting out with a really big funnel and narrowing that down to a final scope.
Right.
I think we'll begin in somewhat that same way, where we'll bring in voices from the community, because it's easy for me to say, well, the interstate is a natural boundary and the river is a natural boundary, and of course they are. But there are other things that maybe should be nuanced by those who live in the community or live in the neighborhoods. And we'll try to bring those voices into that process. And one thing, Deanne, that hasn't been determined yet, but we're trying to figure out, does it make sense maybe to bring in somebody from the outside who doesn't have any of the emotion to any of the neighborhood and just looks at it from a logical standpoint. And then we can bring in the emotion from the people who are impacted and try to weigh both logic and emotion in coming up with a good and final product by the summer of 2020.
Right.
That's the goal. A lot of detail to put into that, but that's the goal currently.
Right, and an outside person looking at this, there's all sort of companies out there and mapping data systems, softwares that can do all kinds of amazing things. But you're right, the emotional part of it cannot be measured by mapping or data and all that kind of thing. So.
I read a book when I was getting my doctoral degree, and it was by Jeffrey Pfeffer. I remember that, and it said, when you're trying to influence and you have the choice to influence the heart or the head, choose the heart every time. Well, that's where we are with the boundaries. Sure. The heart is going to be very much involved in it. The head has to be involved in it too. So we'll try to bring that balance of logic and emotion together. 5 years from now, the boundaries will be set, and it'll just be how we do business. But getting from here and to the day that we open the doors of those new buildings, there'll be a little angst, without a doubt, between now and then. And hopefully that the process is done well, so that in the end the process isn't questioned. Maybe the outcome is questioned, not even maybe, I'm sure it will be, but hopefully the process is sound in arriving at that outcome.
One thing that will be guaranteed, though, is the education provided at every school will be equal and will be as top-notch as possible. And so people won't have to worry about, oh, I'm getting moved from this school to that school, what I wonder what kind of education they have there. That's one of the things we can ensure.
The instructional delivery hopefully won't be impacted by this boundary conversation. The outcome of the student's education won't be impacted. Hopefully it's just the emotion of, well, that's not where my friend goes.
Right.
And that one's a little tougher for her to deal with. But the quality education that's going to take place within each of those buildings, that should be the same regardless.
Absolutely. Well, more to come on that in the days, months ahead, and just continue to stay tuned to the district communication channels, KLearn, our website, social media, and we'll let you know about any meetings that are coming up regarding those boundary changes. And certainly we invite your participation in those. Thanks for joining us today on Envision.